Okay, now we play in Romania at Romanian Championship.
Yeah, it was the Romanian
final.
Championship in '87. It was the last tournament, the last final that I played in Romania. It was
The last
probably
final from your
for me,
professional activity.
Yeah. It was probably the strongest tournament organized in those years, by the national level like this. Everybody played. The only exception was Ciocârlă because a little bit, few years before, we lost him. He disappeared, unfortunately, and we had to play without him. But the rest of our Olympic team and all the best players played, this championship. And finally I had a very good tournament. I won without any problem, let's say. After so many years, we can say it. It was not such a big difference. I won by 1 point or 2 points, difference from the second place. Undefeated, of course, but it was very clear. The rest of the field had no chance at all during the whole tournament, you see. It was a tournament without any real struggle doubt. Like this. Okay. So, now we have our specialty for white, the Zemish attack against the King's Indian. And my opponent, a very talented young player, Tratatovici, in that time he was between the first 3 or 4 young Romanian players in that time. And he played really better than many well-known grandmasters that I had to play against during these years.
So he was well prepared?
Probably, yes, of course. We explained during the game.
Okay.
So knight g2, a6, queen d2, rook b8, no? Rook b8. Now it's clear. We have this well-known position. I think the position is even now possible to play for both, But in that time it was very unclear theoretically. White wanted to demonstrate that has a very, very strong initiative and finally a very good game in any position. Black had to try to react very sharp, in a very sharp way, and maybe, if it was possible, to take the initiative later on, you see. The line was very well known from my 2 previous games against 2 very strong grandmasters, Anderson and Vesterinen, that I could win with beauty prize, both of them, you see. So after h4, now the alternative here, instead of e5, was to play h5 immediately after h4. It's possible, but it's also dangerous for black. Now we don't demonstrate how, and white has a very strong attacking chances even after h5. Can play later on something with g4, giving some material sacrifices, a pawn, a piece, and so on. Well known. In theory books, everybody can find it. You see. But instead of h5, the alternative played in our game was e5. Okay. Exactly like the 2 grandmasters that I mentioned before, Anderson and Vesterinen played the same. E5, d5, knight a5, knight a5, knight g3, c5. Okay, and now bishop a6. Until now, we follow the game against Anderson. So now he took in h6, I took with the queen, bishop d7, h5, and queen e7 and castle, no, bishop e2, pardon. Bishop e2, b5 and castle. Okay, theory. And now he played immediately knight takes c4. As I remember, my game against Anderson was knight e8, something with a knight e8. That was the alternative, I think.
Yeah.
So after knight takes c4, I took in c4, he took in c4. I play knight f1, very good move. Now white wants to transpose the position in some kind of endgame or middle game, always a little bit better for white because of the structure. We can take back the pawn with knight e3, knight takes e4, and if we trade the queens later on, black has always a small weakness in d6. Therefore, white is always better, you know.
So even if you
if he takes in h5, is very unpleasant for him because the attack continues after g4.
Yes.
Knight has to go back, and with the h file open, is very dangerous for black. You know, yeah.
So even if you have this attack here, actually your strategy is to go for an endgame.
Yeah, because here is nothing decisive. If you open the game in taking in g6, he has time to take with the f pawn, and he can protect the h7, and it's no mate anymore. I mean, now you have to do something in between. I mean, strategically and tactically, as we can see. But the position is very dangerous for black. It's not clear at all that black has completely escaped, you know. So, okay, knight e8, knight e3, knight c7, and okay, from now on, we change again the plan. I took in g6, he took, and now queen h4. We give the chance to play the endgame that I mentioned before.
Yeah.
Now, if he takes in h4, we take back, and we take later on in c4, and we attack the pawn from d6. Clearly better for white, you know. So, okay, instead of this, he played rook f6. It seems that black has no problem at all. Black is okay. I mean, if you take back now with the knight in c4, he has time to play bishop b5 or knight b5. And finally, black is more or less all right. I mean, is attacking also on the other side, and it's not clear who is better, you know. So, but now on, instead of taking in c4, after rook f6, black had a very big surprise here. Now, after f4, he has to react very well because he's almost lost after f4, you know. It's a very strong move, f4. Why? Because now, if he takes back with the pawn in f4, only with the pawn, with the rook is impossible because he loses the queen, you know?
Yes.
So he takes back in f4, and now the second surprise, decisive, e5. You have no time to take in e5 because d6 loses immediately, you know. You lose at least a piece, and the attack continues, you know.
So if you take like that...
d6, and now you can't take in d6 because you lose the queen again, you know. So you can resign here, of course.
Ah,
no? Yeah.
okay.
And everything is forced. You don't lose only a piece, you lose all pieces here, you know.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
So, okay. So, what to do? He has to accept the fact that rook f6 was a little bit wrong, and he has to go back. Yeah, rook f7. Now, okay, we accept to trade the queen. He takes the queen. We take in e4. Now, everything is clear. Now we take back the pawn, but much better position than in our plan before, you know, because we attack immediately with tempo in d6. So no, the only move is rook g5 to do something, you know.
Yeah,
and now we don't take in d6 because it's not clear. Because white is better, of course, but it's not clear after rook takes g2. It's okay, has some counterplay.
Yes.
So you have to continue very well immediately. The best move is e5, very active. If he takes back now in e5, after knight e4, probably black is already lost, you know. Because it's very active, you take back the pawns, and the d pawn, the free pawn d, wins in any position. You see?
And we have this check here
the
also.
position is terrible, you know, for black. So, okay, what to do? After e5, rook b4, the last hope, you know. Simply b3, you know, the knight has to stay there, you see. Now you have to take, and knight e4, as I told you. Now, again, the only move is rook f5. Yeah. Otherwise, check in f6. You know.
Yes.
So, okay, now we took back the pawn in c5. Now it's clear, the pawn goes, you know, the pawn, bishop b5, and now d6, decisive. Bishop takes in c7, black resigned. Very quickly, you know, because now after rook f7, rook f8, rook d8, and it's no defense anymore. Yeah. Everything was forced, but you can see it was very surprising, you know, because exactly in one moment when it seemed that black, you know, had a safe position like this, you know, the position collapsed quickly, very quickly, you know, and by force, of course. This is Zemish. In Zemish, attack is always like this, you know. You can always have a surprise until the last moment. Strategically, tactically, everything can happen. We'll have another game against Santana in New York later on that will demonstrate. Almost similar. Always, when you think that black is all right, again, a small surprise. We'll see.
Nice.
Another variation, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Gheorghiu.
You're welcome.